Discover when you should lead and when you should manage. Hey, my dear, I am leadership development coach Kathy Archer and author of best-selling book, Mastering Confidence. And I am really excited to talk to you today about first the difference between management and leading, and then when you should do both, and then how to do both. Before I get there, I want to tell you to make sure you watch till the end because I've got a bunch of exciting things I want to share with you that are going on in February. And I'll do that a little bit later. And as we get settled and get rolling, I'm going to share this into my Confident Women Leaders group because I know they want to know about the difference between management and leadership and when they should be doing each. So I'm going to pop over here and share this into my group. While I do, the question of today is, let me see. Oh, I know. What is, in one word or two words, what has been your favorite Valentine's gift? I know we're a couple weeks away from Valentine's, but I know people are already thinking about it, and I just seen a post from my daughter that she is using one of the rocks I painted, share to a page, for her draw for her store this month. So I thought that was kind of cute because I painted this really cute little elephant rock with hearts blowing out of his mouth, and she's going to give it away as a prize. So I thought that was really neat. So what is your favorite Valentine gift that you've ever received? Post in. I'm coming. Just making sure we're settled. Good, good, good. So the link to the Confident Women Leaders group is in the notes. The Confident Women Leaders group is a safe, supportive network of other women leaders, everyday women leaders just like you, who want to grow and develop themselves in a supportive community. And so we've created this space where you come in, you chit chat, I put daily posts in to get conversations going. But the intent is, here's a challenge I'm having. How do I, get some help with this? How do I resolve this? What are some resources that we can share? As well as just some of those things like, I just need to vent for a minute, and hey, these are the celebrations I want to have. These are the things that I want to cheer myself on for. And the rest of the group in the Confident Women Leaders group gets to cheer you on too. So that link has been shared, Confident Women Leaders group. If you want to join that group, go ahead and join. Today we are talking about discover when to lead and when to manage. And I think that we use words like supervisor, manager, leader, director, coordinator. We use them all interchangeably. And that's good to some degree. We need to kind of go, whatever I am, you can call me whatever you want. But the truth is, I'm here to support the team and move them forward. However, we often use the terms leader and manager interchangeably. And the role that you are in when you are leading is very different than the role that you're in when you're managing. And the outcome that you achieve is very different. So I think it's important to talk about them today and help you sort of discern, which am I doing? And is it kind of the choice? Is the choice I'm making the choice that's going to get me the result I want? Because that's ultimately, at the end of the day, the most important part is what is it you're trying to achieve? Because if you're trying to achieve something and you're not getting it, perhaps maybe you should be managing instead of leading, or leading instead of managing. So let's first talk about the difference between management and leadership, and then we will get into how you sort of decide which you're going to do when. The easiest way for me to describe the difference between management and leadership is to, get you to think about being in a boat. When you're in a boat, it's kind of a rocky place if the waves are too high. And usually in a boat, you're either sitting still or you're moving someplace, right? Kind of two options. Management is keeping the boat steady. It's keeping the boat so it doesn't tip over. Management is about stability. Don't rock the boat. Leadership is about taking that boat forward, and it's about steering that boat in a certain direction. So management is about stability, maintaining calm. It's about, I'm going to get my notes so I don't make sure I miss anything, stability and order. So think about things like structure, policy, plans, criteria, timesheets, all of those things that help keep things steady and stable. Whereas leadership is about a vision and a sense of direction. When you are leading, accept that there's going to be a bit of chaos. It's going to be a little bit unstable. It's going to be uncomfortable at times. It is going to be different, and it's going to feel different. And in fact, when you are leading, you often don't know the way for sure. You don't know exactly what the outcome's going to have. You have a vision, an idea, a dream, a goal that is as tangible as you can possibly make it. But sometimes, we don't exactly know what it's going to be like. But that's what leadership is. When you are managing, you have control over or authority over someone. You are telling them, directing them, this is how you need to do it. This is when I need it done. This is the process that it needs to be done in. And this is what it should look like when it's finished. You're explaining, you're giving them the sort of parameters around which you need something completed by. In leadership, you are more influencing them. You are more open to sort of their input and their ways. And often what we're trying to do in leadership is pull something out of somebody. We often can see the potential in them. We often know that they have more to give. We often know that there's more ideas inside of them, more creativity, more strengths that they're not using. And maybe they're a little bit afraid to step into that place. And we're kind of giving them that little nudge to get them to go. Often I've seen people who have stayed in frontline positions far too long. And we need that leader to kind of pull that leadership potential out of them and say, why don't you apply on that team lead position? Or I think you'd be really good in that supervisor position. Or where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years? And what's the impact you want to be having? And get them to say, I see myself as a leader, but I'm not there yet. No. And that leader is going to pull that out of them. So a manager is minimizing risks. A leader is taking risks. So can you start to get that sense of what the difference is? Manager, again, is keeping that boat steady and stable. The leader is steering that boat in a direction. It's taking that boat forward. And you've all been a part of organizations or teams when that boat has got stuck or stagnant, right? We don't move. We stay the same. We do things the same way we always have. Nobody's willing to rock the boat. Anybody that attempts to rock the boat is kind of sat back down really fast. That's kind of that environment where we're just managing things. And that's okay sometimes. The problem is that we, as leaders, whatever the title you want to have, we spend far more time in managing than we should. And we don't do enough leading. We worry about having our finger on the pulse, making sure nothing sort of drops by the wayside, falls over. But we don't spend a lot of time visioning, dreaming, and getting our team to think about where can we go? How do we get there? What are some of the neat, creative things we want to try? And we need to do more of that. So let me flip pages here. Here's an example, employee development. So as a manager, if you're focused on employee development, you're having those regular supervision meetings, you're sending the employee on the necessary training, you're making sure they're scheduled in for their shifts okay, you're completing your performance reviews every year. That's managing an employee, and that needs to be done. Not saying that doesn't need to be done. In fact, we need to do that, and we need to do it well. Here's what leadership looks like for employee development. It's having those conversations about their skills and their talents, not just what's required in the job description, but what do they bring to the table? What are your strengths and how are they showing up, and where could maybe our team use them more? And then it's inspiring them to use those strengths. Often, like I say, we and our employees all lack the courage to step into that place of using our full strengths. Maybe you have somebody who's really artistic and creative. Maybe they need to be doing some more of that kind of whiteboard stuff that motivates the entire team. Maybe you have somebody who's really good at organizing and they need to be involved in sort of the update of the next policy manual. What are some of those strengths and talents that you have? Maybe somebody's really good at relationships and yet their role typically is, night staff and they never engage with anybody. How can you be using their skills and talents different? Leading is about stretching your employees, not snapping them or breaking them, but stretching them to reach their full potential. And that's a different conversation. That's a different meeting. That's a different expectation than managing. When you're managing, you're making sure their timesheets are done. You're making sure they've checked off that they've read this month's policy of the month. You are making sure that they have their first aid training. You are making sure that they get the shifts and get paid on time. That's managing. Necessary stuff. Leading is a whole different skill set. And this leads me to this week's guide sheet. This week's guide sheet is one that we've had before. I wanted to come back to it though, because I think it's really, really important. Number 14, leadership training. And I've got the link in the notes here. When we as leaders, or like I say, whatever you want to call yourself, take training, we often come back to management training. We often come back to training on making sure we've met the accreditation or policy standards, training that helps us learn how to do budgets better, training that helps us keep up to date on the way that the programs are coming down, the new funding. The leadership training is different than management training. Leadership training is growing yourself so that you can grow others. So that might be this month in the training room, sneaking this in a little early because I want to talk about it later, but this month in the training room, I'm doing a session on crafting coaching conversations. If you don't know how to talk about or how to ask coaching questions with your employees, then it's harder to pull out their strengths. So you might need to take some of that training that helps you learn how to lead better. Part of leadership is understanding your own unique strengths, talents, gifts, and then what are the ones you want to cultivate. For some of us, that's a sense of patience. Rather than jumping in and solving everybody's problem, which is more a management trait, leadership is being patient, asking them how they would deal with it, helping them to think differently, teaching them to use their thinking skills rather than their, come solve it for me skills. And that requires patience. We have to zip our lips sometimes and not jump in with the answer. Sometimes when we're in the middle of meetings, we, want to make sure that everybody hears us and our idea is best. And we want to make sure we get it out there. But God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. And so sometimes we have to, again, zip it in the middle of a meeting and listen to other people more. Hear their perspective. Get a sense of what they're bringing to the table. Listening, having patience is an amazing leadership trait that many of us aren't very good at. And so that might be one of the skills that you're cultivating in yourself, is a sense of patience. Perhaps I was talking to somebody yesterday in a coaching call, and what they're working on is decisiveness. Decisiveness is that ability to make a decision now and be clear on it. Many leaders are wishy-washy. Yeah, I just need a couple more days to think about that. Just, looking for a little bit more information. Well, what do you think? That's not decisiveness. That's wishy-washy. And that leaves your employees feeling unsafe, unstable, unclear, lacking direction. Remember, a leader is taking people in a direction. And if you can't be decisive and say, this is the direction we're going, then you're struggling with decisiveness and you're not leading as well as you could be. So that might be a skill that you need to do. So this guide helps you look at what's the difference between management and leadership training, and what's some of the leadership training that I need to take, because that's going to help me get there. So backing up, we are talking about when you should manage, when you should lead, and the difference. So management is holding the boat stable, making sure the boat doesn't fall over, making sure you have all of the policies in place, the procedures in place, make sure that the paperwork's done, the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted. That's managing. Absolutely must be done. People want to get paid. People want to know when they show up on shift. People want to make sure that, the contracts are signed off. All of that is management. Leadership is about steering that boat in a direction and taking it forward. If you stay stuck, in one spot forever, you're going to stagnate your team, you're going to stagnate your employees, and then you're just going to get a lot of that negativity going on in your team. You're going to get a lot of that survival mode kind of stuff. You are going to have a toxic work environment. If you want to create more excitement in your organization, more magnetism, pulling them towards a really exciting vision, if you want to pull out the strengths in your employees and get people to start realizing their full potential, you need to do more of the leading. So here's 3 questions you should be asking, or can be asking, to decide, should I be leading or should I be managing at this point? So first question, do I need to steady things or do I need to rock the boat? You know, really great question to be asking, because when teams are all chaotic and crazy and there's just, you know, craziness going on, you might need to steady things down. I remember a time when we were going through accreditation and there was just a lot of stuff happening. We were busy trying to get everybody up to date, having, you know, this little meeting over here, making sure this person had this conversation, finishing off this policy, sending this in here. And at some point, what I had to do was pull the team together and just stabilize us for a second, almost like taking that deep breath together, like, we're going to get through this, guys. We will manage. We will survive. And in fact, we're going to come out the other end better for it. And I appreciate what you're doing. I see that you were stretching yourself. I'm grateful you stepped in and picked up this ball that I almost dropped. That's managing, right? Just kind of pulling everybody together and bringing things back. Sometimes, though, you need to rock the boat. Maybe there's been an issue that's been dragging on far too long. Nobody's addressing it, and you need to make a really tough decision. Or you need to say something to somebody. Maybe there's a conflict that's been going on between staff, and you need to bring them both into the same room, and that might rock the boat because everybody's been used to it being this way. It's been tense, but everybody's, you know, knows what to expect. And suddenly you are going to throw a whole curveball and nobody's going to know what to expect anymore. If that's what you need, then you know you need to lead. It's time for you to steer that boat in that direction. So, do I need to steady things or do I need to rock the boat? Second question, am I trying to get more out of this employee or get this employee to be more? So if you are just trying to sort of keep the employee at that baseline and they just need to do what they need to do, like complete this form on time, please, like it's always late, that's managing, right? You may need to start some disciplinary action or have those conversations about coaching for performance. That's managing, right? You need to make sure that they get done what needs to get done. But if you are trying to get more out of that employee and kind of awaken something inside of them, help stretch them a little bit, that's a leadership conversation. Third question, am I trying to get us to a place that maybe we can't really see but can dream of or vision? You know, we can't necessarily touch it, or maybe it's not completely clear, but you know, we're trying to move out of this place where we're in and get someplace new. That's when you're pulling in a leadership conversation. When you are just trying to, again, stay stable and stay where you are, like we've had enough change for a while, we're just trying to settle things down, then that's management, right? Leadership, though, is about taking people places. So again, I want to go back to the guide sheet. If you are looking at things like budgets and planning and scheduling and performance management and making sure, you know, I do my performance appraisals, that's all management training, necessary. But make sure you're also getting leadership training. Leadership training could be things like learning how to craft mission statements and vision statements, learning how to have better strategic planning sessions and how to maintain that sort of vision of what you're working on throughout the year. It might be about taking training about inspiring employees or motivating employees. That's all leadership training. So go back to the guide sheet number 14 and look at what kind of training do I need to take that's going to help stretch me and grow me as a leader. So I said at the beginning, I wanted to talk about some of the stuff that I've got going on in November, which this is a great segue into that because I've got 2 training sessions coming up in the training room this month. Okay, so at the end of my Facebook Live session, it ended without me ending it because of Wi-Fi connections. And I was just about to tell you about all the exciting stuff coming up in February. So I want to do that now so that you know what's going on. February 8th, I'm partnering with Charity Village again, which is a national organization that supports charities and nonprofits. And I am doing a webinar for them called Helping Your Employees Reach Their Full Potential. So I will make sure you have the link for that. It is a free webinar. And if you can't attend at the time it is on February 8th, register anyhow because you will get the replay. On February 13th, I have the first of 2 sessions in the training room, and we are talking about making supervision meetings meaningful. So that's the first of 2 sessions. Remember, that's in the training room. These are 1-hour webinar-based trainings, bite-sized trainings for women who want to lead with confidence. The second one is on February 27th, and we are going to talk about crafting coaching conversations. So this will help you to up your game on some of those extra skills as a leader that help you to coach your employees, that actually helps you to lead them and take them in that really exciting direction. So those both are coming up. And then finally, at the end of the month, February 26th, I think I'm starting the week off with the Mastering Confidence Intensive. So many of you have my book, have bought my book, but maybe haven't read it. Or maybe haven't worked your way through the exercises and maybe need a little bit of accountability to do that. That's where the Mastering Confidence Intensive comes in. It's a group of women. We are working through the book together over the course of 8 weeks. So if that's something you're interested in, you can join the Mastering Confidence Intensives. So those are the things coming up this month. The free webinar with Charity Village on February 8th, the 2 training sessions, February 13th, supervision meetings that are meaningful, and February 27th, crafting coaching conversations, and then the Mastering Confidence Intensive starts on February 26th. I hope you will pick one of those and join me and start to develop yourself as a leader so that you can move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and life. Thanks, my dear. Have an awesome day.